Hey, welcome. We're live here, VO Tech Simplified. Right, what do you?
I'm just noticing I made a really bad wardrobe choice with our shirt
Yeah, but
colors
nobody
here.
can tell in that. It's almost the same. I mean,
Okay.
this was random. Not random enough. And I put Lisa in my chair. I've also changed my the one thing. So she's working on my machine today. To say Lisa's non-technical would be pretty accurate, but she's asked me 4,000 questions over the years. She doesn't retain any of this stuff in the sense, except for she did an amazing job on this. It kind of blew me away. So I thought this would be a good thing to show off. Somebody who really, she's learned stuff along the way. She's been doing voiceover for 10 plus years. And along the way, we've had commercials. And this one, she just kind of took on and did 95% of it, 98% of it on her own. And found the, and we'll give you the big picture, show you the video, and give you the backstory on this. And then she'll break it down and show you what she did and kind of the order she did it. But if I remember right, Sunday, one of our clients, she's done over 100 voiceovers for this client doing car ads for car dealerships. And these car dealerships have had 1 to 2 ads per week for a couple of years. Per month for a couple of years. Okay. Anyways, it's over 100. So we have this relationship with this ad agency where they call Lisa to do these things. And on a Sunday in the afternoon, they called because this was, I don't know if it was a new dealership for them, but it was a dealer that we don't usually work with. Correct?
Correct. And neither do they.
Neither do they? Oh, okay. I didn't know that part.
They're hoping to earn that client.
They're trying to get this client. And so it turned out that it was kind of interesting. Go ahead. Explain what happened on Sunday.
So we're here in the LA area. This is a client I've been working with, an ad agency in Miami for years. Every month I've done. Initially, there were 2 car dealerships owned by the same family. And then during the pandemic, they had to give one up. But still, for years, I've been doing 1 or 2, the audio for their TV ads every month. And so this ad agency, I've done a few other things for them as well, but mostly these it's the name of the family-owned car company in Miami. And so my ad agency person messaged me Sunday late afternoon, said, I've got this thing, this Volvo ad. Here's the ad. We need to replace the voiceover, and the actual backstory that I didn't even get until after it was all over really is that this car dealership owner that owns a Volvo dealership in Tampa and in Wesley Chapel, which is near Tampa, Florida. They had gotten this ad from Volvo corporate, and it only mentioned one of their 2 dealerships. So my gal had gotten the graphics changed for them, I guess, to show both their dealerships, but they really wanted the VO to reflect both of them. And she did not have the music track alone or the effects track alone, only the finished video. So here's what that looked like.
So you're going to play. So we're going to play, I guess mute this one. I've got stuff unmuted here.
Oh.
So Lisa's going to mute the tracks that have to do with the things that she added, our rebuild of it.
Yeah.
And we're going to play the original one so that you get to see. This came from Volvo Corporate, and these guys spent a lot of money on this stuff. At first, we didn't understand.
It goes by so fast, but it was actually kind of a joy to dissect it, to get a better feel for all that goes into this, the story of the visuals, the music. There are so many sound effects in this thing that you don't even notice at first. It's incredible.
Okay.
But here's what came from Volvo corporate.
You gotta go to the beginning.
Oh.
That's not the beginning.
There we go.
Okay.
Great.
Get this limited time offer today at Volvo Cars Wesley Chapel.
So that was the commercial that we got, the master commercial, and
so my gal at the ad agency said, I don't think I can get the music or effects tracks without that VO at the end, and it's the VO they want changed. Well, if they had those, it would be a snap. I'd have it done for her in 20 minutes. But to just replace that VO and then mix it down and send it off. But she didn't have that, and she didn't think she was going to be able to get it. And it's Sunday late afternoon. She's 3 hours later, and she really needs it Monday morning? Okay, sure. So
but she pays well.
Yeah,
normally,
and she's a really good client. She's a really good gal. And, I also want her to know that, she only has me do the voiceover for this car dealership, in Miami month after month after month. I've done full production initially with Don helping, but eventually I could do it all myself for major clients in LA that, ads that play on drive time radio on like the #1 talk radio show in LA. I can do that. And, they send me their music and, testimonials that we have to edit and all kinds of stuff and cram. How if you've done any radio ads, those copywriters tend to try to cram in way more copy than is possible. So yeah, all of that. I can do it, so I want her to know I can do it and that I'm there for her. And, yes, of course I'll do this, and we started working on it. I started working on, I listened to that music and it reminded me very much of a track that I have saved. And we use audio blocks for music and effects.
No, called story blocks.
Story blocks, sorry. And actually, it was our younger daughter who found this particular track and used it in her own demo reel that she created with very little help from me. And so it's a really great track. I'll play a bit of it here. So listening to the VOLVO track, I thought, I bet it's the same composer. It wouldn't surprise me at all. So I looked up this track on Storyblocks and searched on that composer. Well, there are 747 entries for him. So Don kind of went to work on trying to search amongst them to maybe find that VOLVO music. But in the meantime, I took that music and put it in here. They weren't even sure what the little bit of VO was going to exactly be, because these car dealerships get very picky about how things are phrased. She wasn't sure exactly what they wanted it to change to. So I had recorded something and that turned out to be wrong. On Monday, we fixed it to what they actually wanted. But the more you listen to this video from VOLVO, the more you hear, oh, wait a second, what's that? Oh, what's that? Oh, wait. Oh, there's road noise right at the beginning. I didn't even catch that the first many times through. So down here, first I changed that music that you just heard because I really like the beginning of it, and it establishes that hand clap, cool, feel good thing. If you can see right here, maybe if I make it bigger. I always have trouble with your mouse versus mine. You can see there's a seam here because in Studio One, I split it. I took out 4 bars from the middle, musician talk, to make it fit the 30 seconds better and have this initial part. So yeah, you can see that there are 2 events there because I split it and I took out 4 bars from the middle And you can't tell. But yeah, that's what I did because it starts like this. And here's where the edited part is coming, obviously. So that fit better. It made just highlighted better parts of the music for only having 30 seconds of it to show. So then I spent at least a couple hours Sunday night searching through sound effects on Storyblocks, because within the first couple seconds here, I should mute this. Within the first couple seconds, there's the cup goes in the cup holder. Why is this not playing? Oh, because I'm in the wrong track. Hear that?
No, nobody hears that. What it is when they set the cup down in that cup holder, there's a tiny little thunk that exists there.
Yeah.
And nobody hears it, and you'd have to expand this, make this bigger. Make that time-wise.
But that's not mine. It's theirs.
I know, but do you put in something at the same point?
Yeah, okay, so yeah. Okay, so I had to find that cup holder thing. I had to find, as it goes on, there are a bunch of others. Well, here's and Storyblocks did call this paper cup set down or something like that.
Probably that little tiny thing there.
Oh, you're right. It's the first one there.
Yeah.
Just this teensy little.
Yeah.
Sorry, something else isn't muted. This. Where did you put this so that I can't see? Okay, there we go. So here it is. Just that. Thunk. But you'd be amazed if you start looking through for that sound, how many things don't sound right, you know? So that's the paper cup in the cup holder.
It's also so subtle. I don't know if you can hear this over YouTube. That's a little paper cup, but you'll hear the next sound effects.
Okay.
So play the next
so
one.
Then. That's very similar to what they had. And I listened to, I don't even know how many whoosh noises and stuff to find that. And then if you can see, I had to make it fade out because it went on with more sound after that. So, yeah.
So really, you should relabel this.
Well, there's other stuff on that track.
Sound effects.
Okay, fine. So there's that. And then as it goes on, every time you see the car driving, and you hardly even notice it till about the fourth one, but every time there's road noise, there's a car driving noise. But also these headlights turn on, and it's like, what is that? And I finally figured out it's a cymbal, as in drums, cymbal, metal, like hit it with a mallet cymbal. Really quick, but there it is. And
that was on your pink track, I think?
Yeah,
okay.
That's why.
I know, but then they can't tell. So.
Oh, sorry, on the pink track right here. And you would never, people watching this ad on TV would never notice this stuff unless maybe this is what they do, But yeah, every time there's a car shown in motion, there's road noise. So here we go with some of that. Every time the scene changes to a different one, there's another one. That one you really heard a lot in theirs. And then there's this really interesting sound in the original that I will attempt to play for you right here. Mute this one too. Hear that waka 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 kind of thing? Kind of goes waka 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 waka. I listened to so many vibration, searching on so many different things. I ended up with footsteps, boots on pea gravel. It was the closest I could get. And you hardly hear it in my finished thing, but here it is. And I had to repeat it. If you can see, there's 2 events there. I had to repeat it because it goes on longer, but it doesn't sound like the same stuff. So that was my closest possible approximation to their waka 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 vibration thing. Then as it goes on, you get to these suitcases going into the rear hatch of the wagon, and there's a thunk 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 sound. And
Play it first. So
yeah, I'm going to. Here it comes.
Get this limited.
That goes by so quickly. So there's little sounds as the luggage gets shown.
Here it
There's
goes.
sound.
Get
That thunk 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 as each suitcase appears. So I listened to a ton of stuff for this as well and ended up with chopper on ground. The problem, well, so here's what we ended up with. Oh, sorry, nothing if it's muted. Sounds like a helicopter, right? The problem with chopper on ground, and there really wasn't anything that sounded closer that I could find on Storyblocks, is that there was a tone in it, a hum tone. Don, through the magic of RX, took it out for me because I was like, do you think it's noticeable over the music? He's like, maybe. Yeah. So he isolated that and took it out in RX. And I think he's going to show you how he did that.
Yeah. So what happened was so she said to me, there's a sound. And when the music was playing the first time, I didn't hear it. So when her music was playing, I wasn't sure. And then as soon as we isolated, it's like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that will happen sometimes, that the first time you hear it, you don't know it. And because it was going in and out,
I was going crazy because it was a lengthy recording for a sound effects and Storyblocks. I forget how long, but many seconds. And it sounded like to me like this tone came and went throughout it. And it was really because I know Don really knows the physics of sound so well. And like, what is happening? Is there like canceling going on here? Because I would say like, oh, right here, I don't hear it so much. And I only need this tiny bit of it, less than a second, so I'd try to isolate that part and then I would hear it again. And it was making me crazy. And he said,
well, the masking, when the helicopter sound was masking this, there's a straight tone in it twice, in 2 locations. I'll show it to you in a second. And it's quite obvious. Now, this is a place that if you don't have a spectrogram, it's very difficult to figure this out, simply because the sound of the helicopter combined with these tones doesn't sound like the way they look. But as soon as you have a spectrogram, you instantly recognize it. So had Lisa pulled that out and put it into RX natively and put it in to where you see it with a spectrogram, she would have seen it and then had some clues that, oh, that's what we need to take out. But instead, if you have RX11, you have Studio One, and you throw the event effects on it, then what you can do is you can pull this up in RX right in Studio One. Now, I'm going to revert it back to the original, and this was the original. And those 2 horizontal lines there, so going across here as this is playing, let me get this back to the beginning. If I have this unmuted, I can play it. Let me see if I have that. Yeah, I have that unmuted. So when this was playing, here's how it sounded originally. It's very quick, and I can even loop over that so that you get to hear it a couple times. But it will loop.
oh, there it is.
Okay, so that's the sound, and depending on where she was within this track, because that helicopter sound changes a little bit, it's almost like what an optical illusion will do with you sometimes, where it sounded like the tone itself was changing or being gone, and it's just being masked and unmasked, and then the helicopter was moving when they recorded this, from what I can tell, in her longer sample. So she was just kind of going crazy for a second, but because in RX, you can do the real quick and dirty thing, which is all I did was I set it so that I could take a little section here and I hold down the shift key and I highlighted this as well. I was using the frequency selection, and I took the gain and I just gained it down. Now this was just, I knew I could get away with this. It's not a voice, and even if it was a voice, I'm taking out such a small amount, and I process it there, and now it's gone. You see, I just put a hole in it, and the reality is, because first off, you and me don't know what a helicopter really sounds. There is no, oh, that's a helicopter. That's the helicopter sound. They all sound a little different. So nobody will miss me taking out this.
And it's not even supposed to be a
Yeah.
helicopter. It's the suitcases
Yes.
showing up.
So we're stealing the helicopter sound. And in this case, I just threw it in the event editor in RX. And that's, if you, once again, if you have RX11, you have Studio One, you could do that. If you don't, you would take the original track that she started with, and you would open it in RX in the spectral view, and then you could take those out easily there. And I just use the gain control to gain them down 60, 80 dB. And then when we're done, it just, now listen to this. So now it just sounds like that, and it does sound still like a helicopter if you know it's a helicopter. But once we put the music on it, it almost, you can't tell that it's a helicopter, because now we are combining sounds, and it actually works out pretty well.
Take that out, please.
Oh,
I never use the loop thing. I always forget how it works.
Yeah.
See?
And then there's the other things. So Lisa will do things, and like I sit here and watch her, and I go, I'm thinking, that's
There's
the
an easier way.
That's the slow way to do it, but whatever. So that you don't have to be perfect at all this stuff to be highly productive with it. Even though, yeah, I know a bunch of shortcuts that would be a little quicker. I was super impressed with how else you did. What's this? Is that
This
one?
is.
That's the
this
one.
Was,
no, yeah.
There were a total of 11 effects, except I think maybe the 11th one was really just in the music track.
Yeah, it was.
And I spent some time hunting this down too.
Let's skip
What?
that one because you didn't even
okay.
use it.
All right.
Basically, there was
there's a tone, kind of like a marimba, maybe, with a mallet toward the end that we finally decided was probably part of the music track. I actually found something, a music track that was marimba, and found that pitch and squeezed it down to just take that pitch from that marimba melody, only to realize, oh, duh, my music is not in the same key as theirs. It kind of clashes.
Yeah, so we've skipped it.
So, yeah, we muted that.
So now you need to put in your music and put it all together so they can hear the whole thing with your rendition.
Okay.
Because it's and then because we haven't played the original one for a while, I know that people just listening to it, there's no way they would know that we substituted the music, that we substituted all the different sound effects.
I, however, will know that music anywhere for the rest of my life. I heard this 100.
By the way, you're doing that the slow way.
Oh, unmute all? I don't want to unmute all.
No,
what?
But you could click and drag up and down.
Ooh, show me that later. Okay.
Yep.
Or show the
That's it.
show the folks
if
at
someone
home.
happened to be in Studio One, she needed to unmute these 4 tracks.
I'm doing them all one by one.
She's doing them one by one.
I'm learning a
Click
new party trick
and
here.
drag. Click and drag.
Dang.
Okay.
Wow. Wish I'd known that Sunday night and Monday morning when I was working on this.
So so now we get the same visuals, but we're substituting, and I'll make this big so that you have a chance to see it a little bit clearer on that.
It's not showing at all right now. Oh wait, yes it is. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave to where you can see.
Yeah.
The whole thing's only up to there. Let's make it bigger here. Sorry, now I gotta make it. I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger.
And bring
then
this
we'll bring
over.
this over.
The rest of that after 30 seconds doesn't happen.
Yeah. Okay. Then I'll take this.
Oh, there. Yeah.
Right there at the end,
Okay.
and then I'll make it bigger so that the visuals are big. All right.
All right,
So
folks.
we're gonna go all the way back to the beginning and press home. So this is Lisa's rendition of this whole thing.
My music, my effects with Don's magic on the
and
chopper.
then her voice at the end. And I predict that now that if you don't hear them back to back, here's how it sounds.
Get this limited time offer today at Volvo Cars Tampa or Volvo Cars Wesley Chapel.
So when it's all done, it sounds like nothing. I mean, it just sounds right. Actually, though, I bring that chopper up just a little now.
I think
I heard it today.
should have made the road noises louder too. So after doing all of this, spending at least a couple hours Sunday evening and like all of Monday morning working on this, then at the last moment, my ad agency gal in Miami said, guess what? They sent me the music and effects track. Like, are you kidding me? I could have had this done for you in a half hour. I didn't tell her that. But anyway, yeah. So then they sent me that. So all of this was moot. Didn't matter. None of these effects. All we needed was their music and effects track. Oops, that was already highlighted. Drag you over here and bring theirs over here. Oops, no, that's mine too. Hold it. Where are you? Volvo. So then we ended up with theirs after all.
Get this limited time offer today at Volvo Cars Tampa or Volvo Cars Wesley Chapel.
So there it is.
So it's a good exercise, though, in getting the original, figuring out. She did a killer job finding it takes more time, by the way, to go through and find this kind of sound effect where you can say that, and there's 70 of them that are all different. They're faster, they're slower, they're higher pitched, they're lower pitched.
They sound more like they're outer space and a futuristic Star Wars space vehicle.
The road noise, this road noise here. Sometimes you can substitute waves. Ocean waves sometimes sound similar to road noise. You could sometimes use that. The footsteps, the chopper thing for when the suitcases come in, so that you can see this suitcase showed up here, and there's another suitcase that shows up, and the little whack 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 of the helicopter work out to be similar to what they used. And when the music is playing, people can't hear it, and sometimes they don't even notice it. Like, we didn't notice every detail until you listen to it 20 times. It just feels right. It's like a lot of things we do in this business. When you get it right, nobody notices all the details. They don't notice that your performance has the right feel and the right tempo, and everything about it is right. And they just go, oh, well, that's easy. You were just talking. Well, maybe. Yeah, you were just talking, but you know how many takes you take sometimes to get the right feel for the right character at the right, in that moment of whatever's happening in that scene. It's just not, you just read the line. You read the line in a specific way with a specific feel that fits. And when someone does it really, really well, everybody else goes, wow, that's super easy. Then you try it and it doesn't. Yes.
There's some questions in the
Okay.
comments.
Let's see what the
stuff,
questions.
So.
Can
you see in here? Can see in here just fine. Different
So
timeline.
let me.
Get the timing of the music bed right. Did I use a different timeline to get the timing of the music bed right? No, I was right in Studio One.
No, and in this case, she did not. She found music that was the right tempo, but let's take out. I'm gonna take this to just get it out of the way.
The Volvo one. Yeah.
The original one, and get Lisa's back. So here's the thing. Had she needed to...
Oh, do you mean to cut those 4 bars out or something?
Well, yeah, I don't know if that's...
I just visually and auditorially, yeah, using my ears and my eyes, I could see and hear, okay, here in the waveform in Studio One, here's beat 3 of that measure when it's going to the, when it's going to the 5 chord, and here's where it's going to the 5 chord again. I'm just going to drag to where I see that. Did I get it right? Oh, yep, I did. It took me exactly 1 try to get it. I didn't have to.
So 2 things.
fiddle
She
with
has
it
a
at all.
music background, so she knows she knows the form of the music and can hear the chords going by and knows the chords and was able to do it. And by the way, if I'm doing that sort of thing, which, her and I had never talked about, a lot of times I will zoom in on it, and you see, you missed the actual beat here by a fraction.
Aw, dang.
But it doesn't matter in the real world. Like, you can get away with it. So it's possible that this should have been right here. That's probably where it should have been, but it's close enough. We're down to, she was off by a few hundredths of a second just doing it by eyeball, and she didn't zoom in enough. And what happens is, if you do enough of this stuff, you can tell that this is a beat. This is a beat. And there are some tools in RX that in Studio One, if someone wanted to, it will tell you right where the beat starts, and can do that.
And the main thing for me was, having the beats come out right, and then having the transition be at a point where you don't hear that it changed.
Yeah. She just cut out.
There was no funk in the middle of the end of one event and start of another.
Okay.
So what one can do in Studio One, yep, you can drive yourself to the funny farm, though, tracking down music.
Well,
absolutely, Dale.
Dale has it absolutely right, that the hard part, the number of hours I've spent sometimes where somebody said, oh, here's some music, we can't use that. Like, oh, they like a song, and they say,
get me this music?
yeah, can we use this Usher tune? And it's like, no, we can't use that Usher tune. But then sometimes, or they wanted a 50s feel or 60s. They wanted a specific feel, a beach feel. And so then you go out and find something that is a reasonable feel that's similar. And you really can spend hours going through that stuff. Now, the music ones, I have spent probably 50 to 100 hours going through and finding a whole library of different things. And then I know some of the search terms for the service we use. And you just go through. Lisa had this one. She knew it was close. Also, there are some tools in Studio One that if the tempo was wrong, like if we found one that felt right, but it was too fast or too slow, you could just drag it out and it would have adjusted it, and it would have the same song, a touch faster, a touch slower to fit what we need.
Fiddle around,
we did mess with
Don
it.
found a bunch of songs, and we fiddled with the tempo of some of them. But in the end, we really liked this one the best. So, Chris, you mentioned that the agency writers try to put 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. How do you negotiate that? Well, most of the time it's okay. There's one guy out here in LA that one time I did have to say, would you be okay with this slight rewrite? We lose a few syllables that way, and, that kind of thing. But yeah, so occasionally I have done that. But most of the time, the funny thing to me is that when it's done, no matter how hard I had to work and how I felt like that I was really pressing to get all those syllables in and hit the time marker, when it's done, it doesn't even sound like you were in a hurry most of the time. It's wild to me.
But I've seen Lisa cut out little fractions of a second between words.
Yeah, like with this agency, this client that I deal with every month, often I'm like, oh, okay, that's close. All right, where is there a tiny bit more, like fractions of seconds that I'm cutting out in Studio One between phrases, Yeah.
So Lisa might be looking. So the yellow track. Let me take this and take this.
This one was not such a hurried thing.
But you had these disclaimers at the end of some where
Oh, yeah. Disclaimers at the end of like West Medical and stuff.
Yeah. So this one would be really tough because there isn't a whole lot of space in here.
Results will vary with adherence to program. With program selected and adherence to program or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, we recorded it once.
So I record it and record it and record it and get it down as fast as I could, because unlike music, instrumental music, human voice, trying to shrink that down, there's not much leeway that you can do before you start getting loud thunks and weird stuff.
Yeah, but watch this. So I'm going to take this track.
Get this limited time offer today at Volvo Cars Tampa.
One of the things that isn't obvious on the original Volvo ad, when it gets to the voiceover part, there's a little bit of reverb on her voice as well.
Oh yeah.
And I noticed that at first. So behind the scenes, we went ahead and we put just a touch of reverb on this, so that we could match the sound that they had on the original one. So we threw that in there as well. So now when it's all done, nobody hears that there's a little reverb, but it does make it sound more natural, and it's a little warmer. So the voiceover also has a little touch of reverb on it. And that's something that, if we're doing an audiobook, no, we're not putting any reverb in an audiobook. If you're doing a commercial type thing, there are times where that is actually both appropriate and helpful. And so in this case, we did that. By the way, this is zoomed in just a little bit. There we go. So now it's not zoomed in vertically. But in this case, if she had to pull something out, there's a couple things she could do, because of course you probably know, if I add the Alt key, I get a little cursor here and I can make this faster. Now this won't sound right to begin with.
Get this limited time offer today at Volvo Cars Tampa or Volvo Cars Wesley Chapel.
That's not bad.
I can cut off some, and I don't even have it in the right thing. If I open the inspector and I go, instead of drums, we do this now will sound even better.
Get this limited time offer today at Volvo Cars Tampa or Volvo Cars Wesley Chapel.
Okay, so that sounds even better. And we could make this faster, but there is a limit. Because voice, like this, we're probably going to be outside the range.
Get this limited time offer today at Volvo Cars Tampa or Volvo Cars Wesley Chapel.
That actually kind of worked.
Yeah, well, let's see how far we can go here. We're at 1.37, which is really extreme.
Get this limited time offer today at Volvo Cars Tampa or Volvo Cars Wesley Chapel.
Okay, we're getting away with it. I know it's. I'm now 1.5 times, which is kind of ridiculous.
Get this limited time offer today at Volvo Cars Tampa or Volvo Cars Wesley Chapel.
That works.
Yeah, not bad.
So that one just happened to work.
Aside from sounding like a munchkin.
Yep. And so one of the things that's happening is that you can do that. Note, there's a couple other tricks that I have when I'm doing that kind of stuff, because when you stretch it one way or another, I'm gonna get that all back here. I don't know.
Just undo.
Yeah,
a few
I could
times.
do undo a few times. That works. But there's other places I could do it. Anyway, what happens with that is that depending on exactly what you're doing, sometimes you can get away with it. If you ever have music in the background, you can almost always get away with it if there's going to be music, because that hides a couple little details. And it also depends on the actual voice and sometimes what you are saying, because you will get artifacts in there. If you think about that technology, this is licensed by somebody else. Pro Tools, I think, uses the same one. Studio One uses it. There's a couple DAWs. They buy this technology. That's real specialist stuff to make all the decisions about how to take out some of the audio and still make it sound natural. Much easier to do with musical instruments than it is to do with voice. Voice, people pick up on, they don't know why, but they know it sounds funny. And so combination of, if Lisa has a breath in there, she'll pull a breath, which normally she'd leave in. If there's tiny spaces, she would go through and tighten up little spaces. And then once it gets to a certain point, she calls the agency or sends them a note that says, hey, I can do this, but it's going to sound funny because you have too much copy for the amount of time, and I'll send you an example if you need. And if you've worked with them enough, then it's easy, because then they know that you're not trying to.
They trust me, and Yeah.
So some of it has to do with, do you have an existing relationship with them?
Suggest a small rewrite,
edit,
and they're like, yeah, let's go with that. So.
Yep.
Or sometimes they know, like, this might be too much, let me know.
Yep.
So.
And Dale asked a question about when they squeeze the audio. I always switch from drum. If you're doing voice, drum is optimized. So for the people that don't know, and this is the thing, the real good time stretching software has different modes, different priorities. And a drum has a very pronounced attack. It starts very high in terms of volume and then quickly drops off. Voice is not like that. So they have the math required to make drums sound good when you're time stretching it, meaning contracting it, expanding it, making it longer or shorter, faster or slower, is different than what's required for instruments and singing and voiceover. And so they provide options. And so in this case, the solo one is the one to use if someone's using Studio One, or they're using this company. This is their Personas licensed some software that's these guys' specialty. And anybody who tries to write this stuff themselves is practically an idiot in my mind, because this company spent years doing this to make it work, and they have multiple grades of things, and they license their highest end stuff, because otherwise what happens is when we were experimenting with that, and we had it almost 1.5 times. Most of the time I'll tell people, if I was using like the Audacity one, you can get to about one. If you get to 1.1, it's pretty amazing. If you get 10%, I'll start hearing artifacts at somewhere 8 to 10%. And then this one easily can get to 15% without me ever thinking about it. And then we just got to 1.5, but that's rare. This
is unusual. I've never been able to push one that much.
It just
and
depends.
I don't usually have to do that, but like those disclaimers, like you said, Chris, about car dealerships with the
real fast,
the stuff about the lease option that they're advertising, and or whatever, and medical things.
Yeah. So what Lisa's done is she's recorded it, and then she's recorded as fast as she can humanly say
that
it.
Disclaimer
the
thing
disclaimers,
at the end.
And then we've gone ahead and compacted
well.
them, packed them down by doing this time stretch stuff where we're doing time compression, and get it down to the absolute minimum. The one thing about those is nobody expects those to be perfectly understandable.
They don't care. They have to put it in, but they don't really care that nobody gets it.
Yeah. So we get away with some artifacts in there that we couldn't put up with in a normal situation where we're compressing. I mean, our goal is that normally it sounds like that's the way it was voiced, where there's a couple circumstances where the disclaimer is just they have to have it in there legally, but nobody says it has to be understandable.
And that's the only time we do that, is with disclaimers, to squeeze it down to as little as possible.
And we've done it on one or two other things where we needed a time thing, and sometimes if you're new to the ad agency, or you're new to the client, sometimes you'll squeeze something in, and we've given them two versions. Here's a super fast version, but we don't think it sounds great. Here's the way we would normally do it. And, we'll just duplicate it and give them both versions. And we'll have one that's what we think is what they should use. And here's one that's compacted. And sometimes they're like, the compacted one's fine. They don't hear the artifacts that we'd hear. They don't have a great room. And sometimes they don't care. Okay, so there are different circumstances on that. So I'm looking, when you squeeze the audio, so I answered Dale's question, I answered Chris. And Chris, absolutely, those disclaimers are, we also save them. We have one, she did one for a medical company. It always had to say, hey, there could be side effects. If you don't pay attention to what you're doing, your arm's going to fall off.
Results will vary according to procedure selected and adherence to program.
Yep. And because
we just reuse it.
We reuse it
just
over and over again.
Just like their music donut.
And so it works out really well that you can reuse it and save it. And
just had a common folder for that client with that. Yeah.
Yep. And we grabbed
with
it
their
and
stuff,
slam
their
it in
music,
there.
their disclaimers.
So everybody knows this.
Work smart.
Your goal is to have repeat clients, and if you can ever have repeat clients, that's where the gold is in the business. Whether it's doing audiobooks and you have publishers that continue to hire you over and over again, whether you have voiceover clients that continue to hire you over and over again, because we get a bunch of reusable chunks that, like the disclaimers, as she does the car things, and they have a lot of the car ads have a disclaimer at the end of them. And once we record it, we save it as a separate chunk, and we'll slam it in each time. So every time we're working, that part of it's already done. If they use the same music, which a lot of them do, we already have the music. We know what that's like. And then they do get to trust you, and you can figure out, and you can say, hey, would this phrase would be okay by you? And sometimes they can get away with it, and sometimes they can't. And then Lisa, she'll very often record it the way they wrote it, and she'll record it another way at the same time and leave it for later if she thinks there's a better way to do it. Sometimes she'll send them both. Sometimes she'll send them one. Just depends on the relationship you have and whatever we have going on there. All right. Any other questions that anybody has? If not, we're going to close up for today. But what you can see is that you could do this, by the way, with almost any ad and revoice it, take out the existing audio and revoice it, put in new music. And I do know that I don't think anybody would know if they don't hear them back to back that we had replaced the music on it. A couple of musicians might pick up on it.
Or
but
if you saw it enough times,
if you saw it enough
or
times,
you're the composer.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
You would know.
But outside of that, people wouldn't know, and they don't care. It's not about that, and yeah, and so musical, how do you pronounce that?
What?
Musical
Neptunian. Thank
that's
you.
a great,
fascinating. Even as a reprise.
Yeah. So well, this wasn't supposed to be Studio One specific. Reaper can do all this stuff too. I mean, Reaper is really cool for this stuff. So point being, you can do it. You can do it in any multi-track DAW. By the way, I don't understand people doing voiceover or audiobooks and having a single track DAW. There are advantages because one of the things is Lisa can add as many tracks as she needs, but if she doesn't need them, then she can go ahead and set this up and just have all these other ones hidden, and she can work, and I can simplify and I can simplify. And as far as the whole world knows, she only has one track, and I can hide this one as well. So she can operate a multi-track DAW as if it was a single track situation. And then when she needs it, she can add tracks. And for example, she made a decision here different than I would have done it, where what she did was she had sound effects here, but then she added more sound effects here, and she divided it up based on the way she wanted to do it. She has 2 sound effects tracks there, and they're I would call this. She was working by herself. She didn't need to have this all labeled.
I would just put effects. But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't bother to label them because it was just me. I knew what I was working on.
She knew it. And so but point being, in her mind, when she was doing this, and plus she has some overlap of stuff. And so sometimes that's why she decided, hey, these 2 need to overlap. These might overlap. And because they're overlapping, she decided to put them on their own tracks. And that has some advantages. And sometimes it's organizational. Sometimes it's personal. Sometimes if I was doing it, I might do it a different way. But the point is, when you have the extra tracks, then you can utilize them. And if you don't need them, you can have them hidden or not even have them there. And it works out great because no matter what you're doing, you can make it all work. But having the extra tracks is really definitely a win. Okay. So I hope that helps. Let me look. Is there anything else on there? Thanks for the video. Right up my alley.
About working with what?
Oh, hold on.
With video. Oh, another episode about working with video.
Yep. Okay. So
like video sync for time
yeah.
periods.
So Chris, send me a message about what parts of working with video. Like I hid the video track here, and yeah, there are some details. The only thing is so when you're working with when you're working with video, there's different options based on what you're doing, and there's a separate video window that can be hidden and shown, so you can see the complete one. And depending on your zoom level, if you zoom a certain level, then it changes the look up here. If you're zoomed out, then it can't show as much detail. These are just like thumbnails to get you close to what you want, so you have an idea. And then depending on your zoom level, you see more detail or less detail, and you can do some other things. And
so like I can drag it way down real close up to see where does that cup going in the holder sound, where does that little thunk need to be.
Yeah. I didn't pick up on that little thunk for the cup going into the cup holder. But
Yeah.
Lisa heard it, and then once, oh yeah, you're right. I don't know.
It was this initial road sound that I had a bunch of these other things in place. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's road noise right at the top of this thing
I think
too.
it's ocean noise, by the
You're
way.
probably right.
I don't think that one's road noise.
Yeah. Anyway, they
But
sound a lot alike.
road noise, depending on how they recorded it, and ocean noise, or the sound of waves crashing against not crashing, but waves coming into the shore, can sound identical depending on how they're used. And there's music playing, and there's other stuff going on, and there's the visuals. Most people don't pick up on all those details unless you watch over and over and over and over again. Now I'm curious. Got to find out in the very beginning when there's road noise.
Mute the other ones.
Yeah. So now mute. Whoops, that's the wrong way. So there's all muted. Let's find that out. I can't tell, but I think
you're right.
it's ocean. Which
I did kind of think, why would it be road noise there? But I didn't pay attention to the fact that that's the water out there.
Okay. So, but the funny thing is that it happens to work because there's music playing there as well.
In my track, it is Auto Pass By Dirt Road.
Yeah. And whatever.
Dirt Road Country Auto. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bunch of details there. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed this one. And Chris, so let us know what would be helpful in terms of working with video. You can see video gets quite complicated to put a soundtrack to a video. There's just there's a lot of details, and it depends on, like, if we were doing the video, I have to admit, I don't know if I would have put in every detail that the VOLVO people did, but they had big budget. The video people had budget when they were putting that together, because even when the headlights come on, there's a little sound.
It's a symbol.
Yeah. And where is that one on this? Oh, is that here? That's got to be that one.
Yes.
Okay. You guys should check this out. Then we're going to close up. Let me see if I mute this. Here's the headlights coming on. Okay. And
I listened to it a bunch of times in the original video. What is that sound? I think it's a cymbal.
And so it's and I think we're off just a hair on that one.
You know what? The way theirs is, it's like there's two things and you had to decide where it hits.
There it is. I got it. By the way, watch the headlights go bright and turn this.
So I tried to do it the way they had it.
Yeah, and that's true. And I'll see if I got it here. So I got the last little bit with the brights going on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that makes more
whatever.
sense.
So no one notices that. If you ever watch good Netflix or good streaming stuff, good movies, the amount of time people spend, syncing a sound to a visual is just insane. That's why you see at the end there's 4,000 editors that are doing some of these things if it's a sci-fi type thing, because it's just they're in space, there's no sound, so you get to make it all up. Okay. All right. Let's see if anyone. All right, Chris. Thank you. And appreciate all of you being here. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to tell other people about this. It's very helpful when you tell other people about it. You can post this in other groups. You can find the link right on the YouTube channel and post it to other people if you thought it was cool. I hope it helps. And we always have a good time doing this. I was really proud of how well Lisa did with this. It was pretty amazing. She did it almost all without me, except for the one thing in RX to take it out. I mean, she was just finding stuff, putting it together, making good decisions. It was pretty amazing. So hats off to you. All right. You have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next week. Let me know if I can help with anything. You have a fantastic day, and of course, we'll see you on the wires. Bye-bye.